Okay, hello there everyone, and welcome to today's University Business Web Seminar. It's great to have you all with us. My name is Kurt Isley-Durley. I'm the Web Seminar Editor here at UB, and I'll be your moderator. The title of our presentation, as you see here, is Train Faculty to Create Effective and Accessible Course Videos for Academic Continuity, and is being brought to you through the generous support of our sponsor for today, TechSmith. First off, before we get started, a bit about our topic for today, as members of our audience are still coming in here. As colleges and universities are shifting rapidly to online learning, it is crucial to maintain academic continuity and connect with students across distance and digital devices. Instructors need ways to humanize online content beyond text-based interactions. Video is an ideal way to keep the human element in online courses, adding personalization that increases instructor presence, builds stronger instructor-student relationships, and promotes greater student engagement. Today we'll be learning how to train your faculty on how to quickly make the most effective and engaging videos. We're looking forward to an interesting and useful presentation and discussion here, plus live Q&A. We welcome your questions, so do stay tuned. We're going to get started in just a minute or two here. First, though, just some quick housekeeping notes. First item, as it says here, for technical support, if you need it at any time, you can use the chat panel at the right side of your screen. You can just select the name of our event producer and host. His name's Jason York there, and let him know if you're having any technical issues. He'll be able to help you out there. Also, second item here, if you don't have computer speakers, if you have any trouble with your computer audio at any time, we'll also post the phone number and access code in that chat panel at the right. You can use those to dial at any time and get audio access over the phone. Also, third item here, as I said earlier, we welcome your questions. Feel free to ask a question at any time. To do so, you just type it in the Q&A panel, bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. Just make sure it's set to all panelists, like it says here. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the Q&A at the end of the seminar here. So we'll focus on the presentation first, but we can take your questions at any time and just enter them in the bottom right-hand corner there, and we'll get to those in the Q&A at the end of the presentation here. Also, speaking of questions, last item on the slide here, we are often asked about accessing the presentation at a later time, either the recording or the slides. And yes, just to be clear, everyone who registered or attended here today will be getting a follow-up email with links to the slides that you can access later on. Also, we are recording here. This will be archived on the UB site, and you'll see a link to that as well. So if you want to go back over it, if you want to share with anyone on your team at your institution, you'll be able to do that as well. Also, there are a variety of resources contained in these slides, links to exterior resources, and those will be active in the PDF of the slides. So you'll be able to access all those resources later on, so don't worry about that. Also, one other item, we'll be taking a few poll questions here today. So when we get to those poll questions, you'll see them launch as another panel at the right side of your screen there. And if you would just select your answer to the question and click Submit at the bottom, then you can participate in our presentation and discussion here. So keep an eye out for those poll questions. It'll be pretty obvious when we get to them, and it'll launch at the right side of your screen there. Okay, so with that, on to our program. Today we're very fortunate to have with us Ryan Eash. He is instructional designer there at TechSmith, and at this point I'm going to turn it over to him. Ryan, it's great to have you with us here today. Welcome to today's web seminar.
All right, thank you so much, Kurt. Really appreciate it. So I am actually going to navigate over here. I am going to turn on my webcam just real quick. I promise I won't have it on the whole time for the session, but I just wanted to say hi live And thank you all for being here for the session today. I know you're all busy, and I really appreciate you carving out part of your day to join us. So I also wanted to shout out Chris, Josh, Carla, Kelly, and Shane are in the Q&A section. So if you do have questions throughout, please drop them in that, as Kurt mentioned, and one of them will respond to you as quickly as possible, and we'll save some of them for the end as well to answer as many questions as possible. So again, thank you so much for your time and for being here. Okay, so as we get started here, I wanted to begin with just a little bit of background on TechSmith. In case anybody joining has never heard of TechSmith before, I wanted to provide this slide with just a little bit of background information. So you can see, well, TechSmith actually is a software company. It's located in Okemos, Michigan, which is right next door to the state capital of Lansing. It was founded in 1987, so TechSmith has been around for 33 years, which is hard to believe it's been around that long. And you can see many of the software products and solutions listed here. Hopefully you may recognize at least one of them. Snagit, Camtasia, Relay, and Video Review, just to name a few. Today we're going to be talking about some of these, most likely focusing on some features inside of Relay, but video in general is kind of the goal for topics today. All right, so a little bit about me before we jump into the content, just so you can kind of have an idea of who's talking to you today. So I joined TechSmith 13 years ago in 2007, and I've kind of done a full circle of different job titles and roles throughout. As you can see, I started out as an instructional designer on our training team, and then the last one on here says instructional designer again. So actually a few months ago, I joined our newly created customer education team, where I'm actually creating content, video content, and tutorials and things like that. But I also want to mention prior to that, so for 3 years prior to joining this new group or new team, I was a customer success manager, where I worked primarily with admins and faculty with colleges and universities across the country on integrating TechSmith Relay into their institutions. So I learned a ton during that time. I got to meet and work with so many wonderful people, and a lot of what I'm sharing today is coming from experiences and basically implementations that we did over that time. So I'm hoping that what I share today gives you guys some ideas and is helpful for you. One other thing I want to mention on this slide is, you could have probably already read through it, is I'm also an adjunct instructor at Lenoir-Rhyne University, and I've been doing this since 2014. Usually it's in the fall semester, or teaching an online class, part of their online teaching and instructional design program. So I love it. I'm an educator from my background is in education, so it allows me to stay relevant, I guess, and it allows me to use video as much as possible to communicate with students in the program. So, all right, so let's keep moving on here to the important stuff. And I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to read this. All right, and so this was actually, you've probably seen this before, or maybe you haven't, but this was shared with me recently from one of my coworkers, and it just really stuck with me, and it really kind of reminded me just, how true this is, where every day, even during now, with the scary time we're in, experiencing today in the world, if you look around, you see people who are the helpers. And I just love this quote. And even today, I think one of the reasons why I wanted to share this today in this presentation is just to try to let you know that TechSmith and myself and those in the QA and everybody want to help you. We know you guys education is stressed right now, so look for us. If we can help in any way, please reach out and let us know. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully the resources that we share with you and ideas will be timely and useful as you guys are are moving forward. So this is what our agenda looks like. We're going to start with where to start. No place better to start, right? We're going to talk about things like overcoming some fears when you're creating videos. We're going to look at several different educational video types and some ideas there that you may find helpful. And also when it comes to video, we're going to talk about some things on where you don't have to sacrifice engagement. And this kind of leads us into the quizzing component and a really cool feature called Conversations that I'm excited to walk you through and show you today. And then we'll kind of wrap up the presentation talking about accessibility and the power behind closed captions and how you can add those to your video content. Kurt mentioned we do have several links and resources. In this presentation, you are getting those slides, and I'll have a slide specifically with links to them at the end. And then, of course, we'll hopefully have time at the end for some Q&A. So with that, we do have a couple poll questions here at the beginning. And Jason, I believe, just launched this one. And you've got about 30 seconds to respond to this. So if you could choose one of these, and I'll go ahead and read it out loud. How well do you feel your faculty are doing with creating educational videos because of the shift to remote learning? So if you could choose one of those, very satisfied all the way down to very dissatisfied, where do you feel you guys fall? So a few more seconds, and then we'll check out the results. All right, looks like it has ended. All right, correct me if I'm wrong. Jason, will you share the results here, or do I have to do that? Here they come. Now I recall you saying that it takes a little bit of time, so perfect. Thank you so much. So you can see the results here. Hopefully you guys can see these on your screen. And it looks like somewhat satisfied had the highest number, which is great, with 23 above that at very satisfied, 106 somewhat dissatisfied, and 18 or 6% very dissatisfied. So I appreciate you guys answering that question. We do have one more. So this one, Jason will go ahead and launch this one. This one is what barriers most often stand in the way of your faculty creating quality video content. And this one, maybe all four of them might be relevant, but if you could just choose two, your top two, if you could go ahead and do that. It looks like we have about 15 more seconds left before the poll will close. And if you do have an other, we'll see if there's something not listed there, feel free to go ahead and check the other box. And it looks like the poll just ended. I'll try to be more patient this time as the results are being tallied, and then they should pop up here on the screen for us so we can see what the results are. All right, kind of similar to the last one. So the top two, it looks like, are the top: time and intimidation by technology. So, and then difficulty to accept change and lack of resources or assistance. Perfect. This is very helpful. For those of you, it's like 7 of you put other. If you have something that wasn't listed and you want to add that to the chat, please feel free to do that. You're more than welcome to add your feedback there. So this is helpful and it makes sense with the results here. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to participate in the polling. So thank you, Jason. Let's go ahead and move forward here with where to start. So let's go ahead. One of the places to start is just kind of internally, where you are, looking for rock stars within your institution. This kind of, in my mind, goes back to the quote from Mr. Rogers, looking for those helpers. You know, you may have faculty who are already creating videos. Maybe they've been teaching online for some time and they have experience with this. So looking for those helpers, maybe they can share some tips. Maybe they can mentor some of your faculty. That's definitely a great place to start. You don't have to start from ground zero. Just look around and see if you have helpers available. So this is one of the resources you guys are actually going to receive. Don't feel overwhelmed by this, all these screenshots on this slide, but I wanted to at least kind of give you an idea of this resource. And I love this resource because it is a very thorough checklist of types of video content that you can include in your online courses. And I feel like this is helpful for not just, brand new to teaching online or brand new to video, but even the veterans, because there might be some examples here that they have not even thought of before. Or it's a good checklist to kind of guide them along that path. And by saying that, I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to create these many videos and be overwhelmed. I want you to kind of take a step back and know that, start small. Look for those quick wins. It doesn't have to all happen at once, especially if you're new to video. Every video you create, you're going to gain more and more confidence along the way. Even today, I've been creating videos for many, many years, and there's still so much room for improvement in my videos that I create. Every time I'm like, I could have done that better, or I'll do this differently next time. You learn things along the way, and don't try to feel like you have to do everything at once. So really, really look for those quick wins. All right, so coming into our next topic is overcoming fears. And in hindsight, I was like, I wish I would have created a poll question for these to see where you guys land when it comes to number one, the sound of your own voice. I know that might sound a little silly, but even when I listen to videos played back that I've recorded, I'm like, do I really sound that way? And oh my gosh, and yes, it really does. It is how you sound. So sometimes that's a barrier that you need to overcome, is just being comfortable hearing your voice come out of a video. The other one to the right here is perfection. I'm curious as to how many of you would consider yourself perfectionists. And if you're in education, there's at least a little bit of you that's perfectionist. But this is when it comes to video, is not worrying about being perfect. If you make a mistake, just move on. If you say the wrong thing, correct it and move on. You don't have to worry about having to make everything perfect. And I have be authentic down here, where that's what students want. They want to know the real you. They don't want a robot or anything like that. They want to know, the real teacher, the real human being. So this always makes me remember of a story of working with an educator who was new to technology, and she was really nervous about it. And, she decided after she was just going to be honest with her students and say, you know what, I'm trying something new. I'm really nervous about this. Please bear with me and, give me feedback along the way. And she was so appreciative of how the students kind of embraced that, and just knowing how honest she was with them. And, it really kind of inspired them, to step out of their comfort zone, try something new, knowing that, if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you move on. So this is Tracy Shalin. She is a great person, a great educator. And I'm going to read this. You probably have started reading this, but I'm going to read it out loud to you. This is a quote from her. It says, "Students really don't care if I make a mistake, have a bad hair day, or sneeze on video. They want to see me, the real person, not a professional spokesperson. Have you ever noticed that making a silly mistake, telling a dumb joke, or stumbling over a chair in a face-to-face classroom endears you to your students? They see you as a fellow human being, and they love you for it." So this is just a really powerful quote. And if you don't know Tracy, look her up, follow her. She will make you a better educator and a better person. She's just a really great person. And I feel like this really kind of circles back to that whole being authentic. Be yourself. No one else, just be you, and that's who your students want, even in your instructional videos. So we're going to transition now over into some educational video types. So these are just a small list to hopefully spark some ideas for you. Speaking of Tracy, let's continue on. with talking about her. This is actually where I wanted to start with a welcome video, and Tracy has a great example of this. Um, you know what? I'm going to pause here for a second. Just my internet, I'm afraid it's going to go down here. Let me, I'll be back in 1 second. I apologize.
Okay, we'll give Ryan just a quick second there. Hazards of working remotely, as I'm sure many of you in the audience are familiar with. Just a couple quick reminders. Thanks for everybody submitting. We're getting a lot of questions already. If you do have any questions as we go here, feel free to enter in the Q&A bottom right-hand corner there. And we did get a few questions asking about accessing these slides or the recording later on. And yes, we will be making the slides available with links like the one you see on the screen here to this YouTube video. You'll be able to access that later on. And the recording as well, we'll be archiving this, and you'll be able to access that as well. So, Ryan, you back?
I am back, breathing heavy.
All right.
All right. You ever have that fear when you're doing a live session and the Xfinity truck pulls up, ready to do some maintenance?
The one time you don't want to see them, yes.
Exactly. So
Go
sorry
ahead.
about that.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to catch my breath here, but he promised me he won't lose my internet, so hopefully that is the case. Okay, so Tracy Shalin. This is a welcome video. Again, we're not going to watch it live right now, but you just have to devote 24 seconds. That's as long as it is, and it's really just a great video. Okay, so basically, what I love about this video is it is extremely short, obviously, at 24 seconds. But what she provides is just that calming voice that, welcome to the class. I really looking forward to working with you. And she even gives them a call to action, this getting started button. So what she uses is Camtasia. So you can see with this, she uses some different special effects and so forth. But what I wanted to show is you don't have to necessarily use any special software effects and so forth. You can do something as simple as using our TechSmith Relay Recorder. And this is also very similar to Snagit in the fact that you can just click a button, it records your webcam, talk right into it, talk to your students, let them see you, see that real person, and make that humanizing connection. So another nice thing about with this Relay Recorder is that button that I have pointing a call out to is basically a way for you to hide the webcam and show your screen. So you can be recording your screen, starting off maybe with your webcam, making that connection, and then clicking that button and having it come to the full screen so that you're capturing your content for them. So it's super easy, allows you to just record on the fly, making those quick videos and sharing them out with your students. Now, kind of following along the humanizing aspect of teaching with your class, another video example would be creating like a weekly topic or encouragement videos. So at the top here, this is something that I tend to do with my in my online class that I teach, is to create these weekly check-in videos. And so this is something, our weeks typically start on Monday and they end on Sunday. So every Monday morning, I try to have a video ready for the students where it's kind of welcoming them into the new week. It's a way to help me stay engaged with them. This is something, online classes, one of the challenges with it is where students start feeling like they're on their own, or maybe they're on an island by themselves. And this is just one way of how you can stay engaged with them, letting them know that you're available, you're here to help them. Let's see. So the video format, I always try to keep these 5 minutes or less. Some weeks I'm a little bit more successful than others, but trying to keep them short, keep them concise, making them meaningful so that the students take something from it. It's going to keep them coming back and wanting to watch them week after week. Because if they're not meaningful, then they may say, yeah, I don't really want to spend time watching that one this week. And then I try to use my webcam. I try to keep that humanizing aspect so that they can put that face with the content and so forth. Now here's just a screenshotted example of one of the videos I've done, and this lists some of the ideas that you can include in these types of videos. One of the things I typically try to include is starting or talking about the syllabus, where we are in the course. Hey guys, we're starting up week 6 here. That's right, we're 6 weeks into this. We can see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, kind of helping them see, 1 week at a time and kind of walking them through what's coming up that week. It might be answering questions that came in from students the previous week, something that can help you minimize having those repetitive questions, something that's helpful for everybody. Reminding them of what's coming up, giving them that heads up, be thinking about this project. It's going to take you a little time. Sharing examples for upcoming projects and so forth. You can see the rest of the list here. The last one I think is really important is that providing praise for your students for their hard work during the prior week or something that they're working on. And I have a little sentence over here underneath the image that I really believe in. You never know when that short, that encouragement video is exactly what a student is looking for that particular day. Just hearing that message from you that, you believe in them, you really, you are proud of how hard they're working, that might be what they need to get them through this next week. So keeping those types of things in mind, I think are extremely helpful when you are communicating, especially through video, with your students. The next couple slides actually have some screenshots of some example videos. And these, I'll talk briefly about them, won't spend a ton of time. But the top one here is kind of taken from a nursing class using a mobile device to capture a procedure, a patient procedure, where the students are going to have to watch this and then have to do this themselves to show that they've comprehended it and can do it, recording themselves and so forth. So this is just a great video that students can watch as many times as they need. They can rewind it until they feel comfortable with the tasks at hand. The one below that, the lab demonstration, this is a short 1-minute video that was sent out by an instructor with basically posing a question that says, what do these 3 things have in common? And he kind of briefly explains each one, and then he says, come to class ready to discuss. And that's kind of a flipped classroom model in a sense there, where it's giving students a little bit of extra time to process what they want to share before they come to class. And I think that's going to help draw some more powerful, meaningful discussions in the classroom. The top one here on the right, this is a PowerPoint presentation. This is actually where I would highly recommend starting if you are new to video. Your PowerPoint slides are basically your script. So you already kind of have everything right in front of you. You just hit record and go. You can use webcam here if you want as well. I encourage you to use your own personality, of course, make them, rather than just talking points along the way, build in your own personality into your videos as well. But this is really a great place to start if you're new to video, just opening up a PowerPoint presentation and recording it for your students. And then the bottom one here, a course navigation video. If you have been teaching online before, this is probably a common video that you would create. It's walking your students through, through the course. It's separate from the welcome video. This is more of, where to find things, how to communicate, how to turn in assignments, setting those expectations for when things are due and so forth. And this is something that, again, students can go back and rewatch. Maybe at week 3 and week 4, when they're not sure of something, they can always go back and watch this to remind them of the different procedures that you've provided. So 3 more videos on this slide. Student-created videos. This one is huge in my opinion, where students are utilizing their mobile devices or their webcams to create videos and submit for assignments. This is something, this example here actually is a student using a sign language for a sign language class, or he's listening to audio and he's going through and signing it, and then he's sending that to his teacher to assess, so or to grade. Over here, explainer how-to videos. This is a very common one, and usually pretty easy because you're just answering a question or walking your students through a process. This is something that, I always think of the instructor. You are the expert in the class. You know where those trouble points are for students, where they are maybe get stuck each semester. And if you have some of these videos in your back pocket, so when those questions come up, you can say, yeah, hey, check out this video. And if it doesn't answer your question, then maybe reach back out and I'll do my best to help you. But if you have these types of videos ready to go, or even you send them out ahead of time saying, you know what, this is something that happens. This is usually a tricky area, and this is a video to try to help you overcome that. These are the types of videos that you'll find yourself creating a lot, I believe. And then the last one at the bottom is video feedback for student work. Pretty self-explanatory, but what these videos, what the power of these, in my opinion, is it's basically sending a video of you going over the student work, and it's having a one-on-one conference with them, but you're not sitting there right beside them. Students can pause it, they can rewind it, they can hear your feedback, make corrections, and so forth. And it's just, you can spend just an extra couple minutes of going over it and explaining it in your own words, which I think can be extremely powerful for student learning. Okay. Now, this is another poll question I built in here just for a breather on my part, so you don't have to keep hearing me talk for a minute. So if you could go ahead and let us know, what LMS are you currently using? All right, looks like the time expired. So we'll give the system a few seconds here for it to generate the results. And the reason I'm asking this question is because some of the things I'm going to show you next are going to be kind of demoing inside of a learning management system. So I was just curious as to the attendees today, what you guys are using. All right, looks like Blackboard has the highest percentage here, followed by Canvas, and then it looks like Moodle, Brightspace, and then we have some others there. So if you want to share what other LMS you're using, you're welcome to do that in the chat. You're not required to by any means, but feel free to do that. Thank you for this. This is really helpful. The LMS I'm actually going to demo today is actually Canvas. I could do it in Blackboard. I already set it up in Canvas. So, but what I'm showing you will, it basically is the same for any of these LMSs. So thank you for participating in that. I greatly appreciate it. A few more slides here where we're going to talk next about how to not sacrifice the engagement piece when it comes to video. We're going to talk about quizzing and conversations here. So starting off with a quote or some research from Harvard on this topic where they talk about the value that adding interactive quizzes brings to a video. And you can see the percentages here where it reduces mind wandering by 50%. It increases note-taking by 300% and improves learning outcomes by 30%. So to me, those are huge numbers. And just by adding in some interactive questions, and I say that I call them quizzes. They don't have to be quizzes. These can just be more of like knowledge check questions along the way. They can be graded. They don't have to be graded. It's really kind of up to you as the instructor and how you want to build in these pieces into your videos. This is a screenshot with an example of a quiz inside that's built into the Relay product. So what happens is the video is playing back. The video, when it reaches a quiz, it's going to pause. and give the person watching the ability to launch the quiz right there in the video. It doesn't take them to another page or anything like that. But then it pops up here and they have to interact with the video. So I have some advantages over here listed. Obviously, making content engaging, but some of the other powerful things that it gives students that immediate feedback. It lets them know, are they understanding the content or not? And maybe even as important is it helps the faculty understand those knowledge gaps. So the faculty are going to get that the analytic data that comes from what students are understanding, what students are not understanding, so that they can maybe revisit how they're teaching content or what needs to have a little bit more attention spent on it. This fourth check mark or bullet point here is another nice thing about quizzes is students can't just hit the play button and walk away. They have to interact with the video. And from working with faculty members, this is one of the positive things that they see about it is if it's a 10-minute video and you're going to get the analytics that they watched the whole video, but you don't know if they actually sat there and watched it or if they just hit play and was playing a game on their mobile device or something during that time. But if you build in these checkpoints, students cannot fast forward past it. They have to interact and be engaged with the video. And as I mentioned earlier, you can choose if you want them to be graded or not, whether you want the grade to be sent right into your learning management system gradebook, or maybe you want to just have them there to help prep them for the exam that's coming up. It's really kind of up to you on how you do that. Along those lines, this is some great information from Tracy Lee. She is a faculty member at Boise State University, and she uses quizzing features inside of the videos a lot. And she found some interesting information here. Highlighted in blue is that she found out that if there are no points associated with the quiz, then students won't take it. Instead, she ties quizzes back to their participation and attendance grade. So she's learned this over time. Students will say, is there anything in this for me? If not, then I'm not going to spend time on it. So by just making them worth a point here and there, it makes them pay a little bit more attention to it. And then another thing that I highlighted is this last sentence here. She says, it's amazing how their scores on the video quizzes track how they do on their exams. So she uses these a lot for practice, for students to go back and watch the content, have similar type questions that they're going to find in the exam, and she's seeing the scores definitely tie together for these students who are watching those videos, taking the quiz, and then are prepared for the exam. So another piece of engaging a tool, I guess, inside of Relay is called Conversations. And this is actually very similar to our video review product at TechSmith. It's incorporated right into TechSmith Relay. And it's basically what you see here on the screen is you can, as an instructor, can post a video, and it almost can take the place of a discussion board where students can watch, they can pause, they can post questions, what they're not sure about. And then to me, the power of this is that students can respond to other students. Students can answer each other's questions as well as obviously the instructor can as well. Or what I've seen also is instructors can post questions before they even send it out. So kind of some thought type questions, and to kind of pose these questions for students to respond to in the video. You can receive notifications. So when somebody responds to your particular post or your question, you can get an email notification. Students can get this as well, so that they know when somebody responded and they can go in and check it out and even respond back and forth. So my hope is to show this to you, walk you through this process here in a minute, but I wanted to share this screenshot with you at least. There's a couple more slides here. This is another thing that I like to share because when it comes to Relay, a lot of feedback I would get is, with video in general is, it takes time. I have to create a video and then I have to go into my my course on my LMS and I have to bring in that video, everything takes a little bit of time. But this feature where you can actually add an entire folder from Relay into your LMS, and then it treats it basically like a playlist. So as you create your next video, maybe it's a weekly check-in video, you can add that video right to that folder in Relay, and it will automatically populate it into your course, so your students have access to it immediately. It saves you time. You don't have to go into both your LMS afterwards and add the content. This allows you to just do your thing, record your video, and add it to the correct location in that folder, and students are notified. So my hope here, I'm going to try to do this quickly. I'm going to share my screen. So let me try to share here. And if Kurt, maybe you could tell me if you guys are seeing my screen now, I would appreciate it.
Yep, we're seeing your desktop.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to spend just real briefly here. This is my Relay library. This is my demo page. You can see it says TechSmith University over here. This is where you can upload your content. You can record your video content, create folders. I have this EDU 651 folder here that has some content organized. And this is where it lives here in the cloud. And then I can integrate it into my course. So, for example, I'm going to come over here. And again, this is Canvas, but this could be Blackboard, Moodle, D2L, whichever LMS you're using. I'm going to go ahead and show you real quickly. This is just a basic welcome video. And in this video, I just integrated it, embeds it right here into the course. I hit play. You can see here, you can't hear anything coming back. It's okay though, it's not the point. But you can see it's captioned. Students can turn the captions on and off. But I also wanted to point out, here are some dots on this play bar here. These represent where quizzes are. And I just tried to click here and fast forward past that quiz, and it wouldn't let me. It says you need to take the quiz or replay this last section. So if I say take the quiz now, this is just some information from the prior to that, so the video. So I'm going to check Chesterton here and submit answers. And there it is. I got it right. I can say continue. What is the name of one of my children? So this is just kind of a fun little quiz about seeing what they learned from watching and paying attention to my welcome video. So I'm going to put Chloe on here and hit submit answers, and I can continue on. And now it's going to continue on with the video, and it's going to, when it gets to the next one, it's going to prompt me with that quiz. So pretty powerful, where it can build in these checkpoints, and those weren't the most best examples, I guess, for quiz questions, but you get the idea on how you can just build them in at any time. So I've got a few other ones here. This nursing clinic demonstration, which is the conversation, just so you can put it in that screenshot I showed you earlier with this particular inside the LMS. So students, whoever has access to this, is able to play this back. You can see that there are already some comments added over here and some replies to them. You can see over here where those have been added. If I click and jump to one, it takes me to that particular comment. If I wanted to add a new comment, maybe right here, and let's pretend I'm a student, I might have the question of something like, do we need to wear a mask when working with a patient? Question mark. Now, I have these little annotation tools down here as well. So maybe I want to draw an arrow to where I'm going to be wearing my mask on my face. So I might do that. I can then say submit, and it's going to drop that comment right here on the video. You can see right over here, do we need to wear a mask? And then anybody can respond to this, obviously. So the instructor might be the one to respond. I'm kind of playing both roles here as the teacher and the instructor and the student, but I can even easily put a response here and say, yes, great question. I left mine off so you could hear me in the video. Thanks. And I can say submit. And so anybody, again, that's watching this, this is a great way to answer those questions and post questions when you have them throughout. So really powerful feature, and this is probably one of my favorites inside of the Relay product. Okay? Now, for time's sake here, I am going to stop sharing my screen and jump back to the slides, because I know it was my my internet thing when I had to run out there. I apologize. It took a few minutes to get back here. So let's see. All right. Hopefully you guys are back to seeing the slides. We're going to move on here to accessibility. So 2 or 3 more minutes on slides, and then we're going to get into some Q&A here. So I like to share this information. This is has to do with a research study done by Oregon State University, 3Play Media, and the Online Learning Consortium. And this really opened my eyes to the power of captions, where you can see from this the data get captured as to why do students use closed captions. The top one on the list here is it just helps them focus, and then it helps them retain the information. You don't come until you get down to 288 responses was I have difficulty with hearing, or English is my second language. To me, those were the main reasons why having captions. But what really comes down to is captions can help all learners, and the power behind adding captions to your video. And I'm going to share a few other examples of how captions, how they can be helpful in your videos. Here are some quotes that were kind of go along with that study. Similar to what I've just stated, you can definitely check these out when you get the slides after the presentation. This is an example of a video, and you saw it when I was doing that live demonstration, but the captions down here at the bottom, and what's nice is they are closed captions, which means students can turn them off if they don't want them and turn them on if they do. But here, Relay has a built-in caption transcription service. We use Microsoft Azure, and we're seeing upwards of 90% or more, and maybe even 94%, I think is one of the numbers I heard last, of accuracy with these speech-to-text generation or machine-generated captions. They're also super easy to edit, and I'll show you that on the next slide. Now, one of the things we get feedback on sometimes is it takes time, obviously, to caption a video, go in and edit them and publish them. Northwood University is a customer of ours, and they are doing something really cool where they're getting their students involved with creating and helping edit the captions before they're published. So these are student workers who maybe they have some downtime. The university is already paying them for their time, and when they have that availability, they've been trained on how to go in to Relay, be an assignee for videos. They can go in and proof them, proof the captions, and even submit them, publish them for the instructor as needed. So it's a really cool feature, story that they have. And if you're interested in more information on that, just let us know and we can send you additional information on that topic. This is a screenshot of our caption editor, and we've gotten tons of positive feedback on the ease of use that this is. So this is after the captions have been machine generated. They come back. You can go into this caption editor. You can easily listen to them, make changes in this little text editor. But one of the powerful things, in my opinion, is this highlighted box down here is an ADA compliance checker. And it's looking at 3 different things in your videos. It's looking at the duration. It's looking at whether captions are always present, as well as how many characters are visible on the screen at a time. And if any of those 3 don't meet that criteria, then they have this little yellow exclamation point beside it. And when you click on it, it actually takes you to that spot in the video where you can make your correction, and then you can use this as a guide to let you know, all right, they have fit all of this criteria. I can go ahead and publish my captions. So it's a super helpful, and just a click of a button allows you to see where you are with the ADA compliancy. So really cool feature. And then the last thing, this is kind of a hidden benefit, in my opinion, to captions, is that you can search them. So think of a student who is studying for an exam. They're watching a lecture video that's an hour long, and they really just need to focus on a couple different areas. They can, if the video is captioned, they can go into this. Right beside the closed caption button is a table of contents button where they can type in search terms. It will pull up those spots inside the video where that word is mentioned. Students can click right on it, and it's like a hotspot, and it'll jump to that part of the video so that they can watch that again. So it saves them tons of time from having to scrub through. They can just search for key terms that are inside of those closed captions. So love that feature. It's kind of hidden underneath this, but know that that is possible, and it's very helpful for students to review content. Okay, we're kind of at the end here. You will be getting these slides. A lot of this content is pulled from some of these resources that you see linked here on the screen. So know that you're going to see these in an email coming to you. I also wanted to mention this URL down here at the bottom of this slide. TechSmith is offering some expanded site licenses for Relay customers, current Relay customers, and as well as to educators as far as TechSmith, Snagit, and Video Review. They're offering temporary extended trials of these through June 30th of this year. So if you go to this URL, and again, you'll get this link sent to you, you can sign up, gain access to these resources, and have them to hopefully help you with your online teaching through the half of the summer, at least through June 30th. So check that out, and hopefully this can be a helpful resource for you. And I've hit the end. So I'm going to turn this kind of over to Kurt again.
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thanks for being with us and covering a lot of ground there in a relatively brief amount of time. I know you had a lot of things you wanted to touch on there. To our audience, yeah, we're going to get to the Q&A here. First off, though, Ryan has been so kind as to provide his contact info here. If you have further questions for him afterwards, you can get in touch with him. But again, now is your chance. If you have questions for Ryan, you can enter in the Q&A, bottom right-hand corner there. And again, we'll make these slides available with links to those resources. We are recording here, and you'll get a link to where the recording will be archived. So if you want to go back over it, go through the slides, access those resources, you'll have opportunity to do that later on. But for now, if you do have a question, feel free to enter it in the bottom right-hand corner there. Ryan, first question asks, what would you suggest to have a small recording studio in order to make a nice presentation and instructional video? Some of the examples you shared there, Ryan, are more faculty kind of using their webcam and their onboard mic. I guess it's kind of a question about, do you see customers of yours setting up more of a recording studio like that, or having faculty use their webcams in their offices, or what do you think about that?
Nope, that's a great question. I think it really comes down to what you have available to you. And if I think having a recording studio of some sort would be a nice to have feature. If that's something that you have available to you, definitely that's going to give you better, higher quality video content, probably better quality audio and things like that. But you don't necessarily need that to still create good videos. Having a decent microphone, having a USB, whether it's a headset or just a tabletop microphone, that is going to be extremely helpful. Using your laptop's webcam, or maybe even purchasing an external webcam, those two tools right there are really what you're going to need. Just if you are recording and you don't have a studio, just kind of being aware of your surroundings, being in a quieter location, and if you're in an office or something like that, closing the door. If you're at home, letting your family members know when you're recording. But with that said, if you have an appearance onto the webcam of your pet, your cat walks on screen, or your young child comes on, leave it in the video. I think those are moments that your students and your viewers love to see, those real human experiences. So just some thoughts to kind of keep in mind when you're creating your videos.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Someone else asks, referring to, so we're creating this video content in TechSmith, and they ask, so does that mean students have to have TechSmith in order to view the videos?
It depends on what if you have Relay, if you have access to Relay, then your students have access to Relay. So it's one of the services that it's used by everybody. But if you're using something like Snagit or Camtasia, and you are creating content and you're posting it someplace like YouTube or in another service, then students don't have to have a TechSmith account to view the content that you create. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, sure. And I think, let's see, I think you answered this at one point, but someone asks, can you share your screen with your students as part of the video? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, definitely. So just like if I'm recording my screen with Relay and I'm recording my webcam and something like that, if I'm sharing my screen or whatever is visible on my desktop is being captured in the video. So if I am in the middle of a discussion with students and I'm sharing my screen, they're seeing that live. That's also being recorded. Yes, that is all included inside of that video that you're going to be sharing with them.
Okay, great. Just a couple minutes left here. Getting a lot more questions. Thanks to everyone in our audience for asking them. We'll try to get a few more here. Let's see, a couple questions asking about the embedded quizzes that you talked about. So asking things like, are the embedded quizzes logged into the Canvas gradebook, or how does that work? A couple others asked about quiz results. Do those automatically go in the gradebook? How does that work? Could you mention that again?
Sure. Yeah, those are great questions, and I apologize I don't have the time to show you everything, but yes, so those quiz questions, depending on how you add it into your LMS, if you utilize the LTI integration, which is in utilizing the external tool, you can add a video from Relay into your course that has quiz questions in it, and you can then say, I want this to be added to my gradebook. It's worth this many points. And then as students watch that video and interact and take the quiz questions, those scores are then populated into the LMS gradebook. It's not instant. It usually takes 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere in that time frame, for the service to reach out and pull that data in. But that is definitely an option, and you can, and as well as the results as well. Relay has that data that the instructor will get. If students watch the video, take the quiz, they would get an email that evening letting you know that, say, 10 students watched the video and took the quiz. You can go into your Relay site and kind of dive in and see all of that, all of their answers, their responses, and so forth. So you'll always have that available to you as well. So it's you can actually access it in multiple locations.
Okay, sure. A couple questions about the captioning. A lot of interest in that captioning feature. Somebody asked, how does that work? Is it machine or human? Do you have that option? Is there an added cost? Could you talk more about the captioning feature?
Yeah, you bet. So the captioning is included with Relay. So if you have the Relay subscription, there is no additional cost to the captioning service. We partner with Microsoft Azure, and it is machine captioned. So when you finish your video, you can say, generate captions. It sends it off to the server, and it's extremely fast in how the captions are created and sent back to you right into the video. And then the screenshot I showed of the caption editor, you can go in and read through the captions while you're listening to the video playback and make any corrections that you want before you actually publish them live to the video. We do have some third-party connections with Verbit is one of them. 3Play Media is another caption service that if you do have service or contracts with them, you can actually utilize those services as well. That it's integrated with Relay for those captions to be done, whatever if you choose to do machine captioned or real human captioned videos. So hopefully that answered the questions for the captioning.
Okay. All right. Sure. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. We've reached the top of the hour here. I just want to be respectful of everybody's time and wrap things up on behalf of all of us here at UB Magazine. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being with us, sharing your time and expertise with us in these challenging times. It's great to have access to your level of expertise to help us continue providing education to our university and college communities. So thank you so much. And on behalf of everyone here, again, thanks to our sponsor, TechSmith, for their generous support of our webinar here today. And of course, to all of you in our audience, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found our webinar informative and useful to you. Producing events like this one is just part of our mission here at UB to inform college and university leaders like you about the latest news and trends in higher ed management. You'll find more coverage about issues such as the ones we discussed here in the pages of our print magazine, as well as on our website and in our various e-newsletters, which you can sign up for right from our website. Also, as I mentioned before, for those of you who would like to go back over the content here or share with anyone on your team at your institution, everyone who registered will be receiving a follow-up email with links to the slides as well as the archive recording, which you can access at the URL on your screen here. So keep an eye out for that. Also, if you asked a question, we weren't able to get to all the questions here. If you did ask a question in the Q&A, we'll be reaching out to try and answer everybody's questions. So keep an eye out for that as well. We have your contact info, and we'll be following up with you. So that is it for today's event. Once again, I'm Kurt Isley-Durley for University Business Magazine on behalf of everyone here at UB. Goodbye, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining us today.